Greetings, Starfighters. I didn't actually plan to wear the same shirt 2 episodes in a row. It just sort of worked out that way. But we're here for the movie Swamp Shark, and I'm going to give everyone a little bit of an insight into the thought process behind this show, which is to say, there's not much of one. That's not a self-deprecating joke at all. I generally try to know as little about these movies as possible going in. Sometimes when I'm ordering them off Millcreek, I maybe skim the titles, and so I don't even know what all the titles are coming in. That's why I didn't know that there was an alligator movie on this set. We're going to be ending the season on an alligator movie. It's the extra bite, as this set calls it. But what I also didn't know until I had it, and honestly it actually didn't kind of occur to me until several movies in, there is only one movie on here that has an MPAA rating at all. And that's today's movie, Swamp Shark. This is not great, because that means that quite possibly the most creative shark kills we're going to be getting in these killer shark movies is going to be in the movie that stars Robert Davi, probably best known nowadays for having been the voice of one of the craziest political ads ever. The Demon Sheep ad, as some people have called it, and Great Value Buffy. Christy Swanson. Both Davi and Swanson are pretty hardcore right-wingers. Davi is a regular on Fox News. Swanson took part in a pro-Trump play alongside Dean Cain, and wow, Dean Cain, you know how big of an asshole you have to be? That you were the first, and actually, I think the only Asian American actor to ever play Superman in a mainstream production, and that's not the thing you're known for. By the way, Google the Demon Sheep ad. I am serious. That thing is just bonkers. But like I've said, if the most creative kills in this set end up being in the movie with those two assholes, I'm going to be very upset. But let's find out. Let's watch, and by let's, I mean me, Swamp Shark. Alright, so I have now watched Swamp Shark from 2011. The plot summary is courtesy of Letterboxd. And I swear, this is how it was written. I did not write this plot summary at all. Okay. Open on gorgeous swamplands of the Atchafalaya Basin. I probably pronounced that wrong. My apologies to any Louisianans watching this. In the summer. Lots of beautiful teens, sure, are at the beach. Dawson casting is in full effect in this movie. Okay. Lots of beautiful teens are at the beach the weekend before Gator Fest. That night, it was during the day, an animal smuggling deal goes wrong and a large sea creature escapes into the swampy backwoods river. At the McDaniel's Gator Shack restaurant, a local, Jackson, is drunk and gets mangled to bits. The town sheriff blames the carnage on the McDaniel's escaped in quotes, pack of gators and tries hauling them off to jail. Rachel McDaniel, head of the family, claims to have seen the fin of a shark. Rachel and her family, along with the help of a mysterious stranger, Charlie, take on the swamp shark, for some reason just one word in the summary, and the law to clear their names, save Rachel's kid sister Crystal, and prevent the unwitting folks at the upcoming Gator Fest from being torn to shreds by a beast the likes of which no one has ever seen. Quite the wordy intro there, and that was even before I made comments on it. So, I put off watching this movie way longer than I should have, but in my defense, well, one, it's summer, and long-time subscribers to this channel know that I do not do well in the summer. I'm depressed, short-tempered, have a lot of trouble sleeping, yada yada. Two, I actively loathe 2 of the 3 stars of this movie, which I mentioned in the video intro. I don't actually know D.B. Sweeney's politics, and I'm not sure I want to. I'd much rather think of him as the lead from the tragically short-lived Fox series Strange Luck. 3. Still not the biggest fan of shark movies. Though I am big enough to admit that, despite that, I still managed to enjoy Ghost Shark, and for its faults, Mississippi River Sharks has a certain charm to it. But I do want to have this season done by August so I can jump right into the next season, which has fare that would make for, at least potentially, good videos to release around Thanksgiving and Christmas. Maybe. So, let's just get through this. The lone R-rated movie in the set. Again, I will be so mad if this set saves the best monster kills for the movie with Great Value Buffy and the Demon Sheep Bad Guy. Though you couldn't be blamed for thinking this was another Sci-Fi Channel movie, given how similar the opening title sequence is to the made-for-basic cable flicks I've looked at so far. Not promising. We open on an outdoor party by the river. As the Letterboxd summary said, well, I'm just now realizing how much of this next paragraph in my script is going to be completely redundant. It's supposed to be a party anyway. The actors make noises with their mouths, like they might be at a party, but they are hardly moving at all. It's almost like they were afraid of damaging the props or something. This total non-ruckus, however, was apparently enough to get someone to call the cops on them. Or so we're led to believe. The cop is played by Demon Sheep Bad Guy, and his southern accent is awful. Better than Val Kilmer's in Streets of Blood, but that's not saying much. We hear it before we see him, and the dialogue, it's just so bad. It's trying to be badass, but it is failing miserably. I'm wondering if the teens laughing at him as they disperse were laughing because it was in the script, or they were laughing at the dialogue and they just kept it in. Assuming they could even understand it. I didn't make out all the lines he was saying through the speaker on the police vehicle. It's just that what I could make out was bad. This is extra embarrassing because, for fuck's sake, this guy was in the original Die Hard. He was on Profiler, Stargate Atlantis. He can be better than this. Well, I guess not anymore. Conservatism. Not even once. Anyway, this all leads into the animal smuggling gone wrong stuff from the plot summary, and the setup for this bit is hilarious. Unintentionally. Even with the southern accent, Demon Sheep Bad Guy has a fairly distinctive voice, and definitely has a distinctive face. Yet they only show us, the bottom of it in the car's rearview mirror, as if it's supposed to be a surprise later that the third billed actor in the movie is in the movie. He calls in the smugglers from his cop car after the teens take off, and some in trucks, others in a boat. And the smuggled animal, a shark of course, is being carried in a gas tanker truck. Not sure how that thing didn't cook to death in there, seeing as it's a big metal container in the middle of the day in Louisiana during weather warm enough for people to be comfortable outside in bikinis at the very least. And we learn that the shark killed half of the smuggler's crew trying to get it in the tank. Seems like the kind of exciting sequence that should have been the opening of the movie, but that might actually be interesting, so we can't have that, can we? Also, how in 20 fucks is the shark even swimming in there? It's a long tank, not a wide one, and doubtless you've seen at least one screen cap of this shark by now, unless you're just listening to this in another tab, and, to be fair, I wouldn't really blame you. This is practically a podcast. But yeah, there's no way that thing had space to turn around in there. Unless it's a nurse shark, which it probably isn't, I don't think they get that big. It's, to use a term that I learned before the last episode, an obligate ram ventilator. It needs to swim to breathe, let alone manage to shake the container and, as happens just a few minutes into the movie, break the fuck out of the giant metal container meant to hold tons of gasoline. And this isn't Ghost Shark or Santa Jaws. There's no implied magic at work here. or even genetic engineering like in Deep Blue Sea. Though the first look we get at the shark, it doesn't look like any variety I'm familiar with. I'm not an expert, mind you, but there's a slight chance that maybe they just invented a breed for the film. Fine, whatever. After all of this, we meet Great Value Buffy and her sister working at a restaurant. The other survivor from the shark escape earlier is there, dancing, and also drunk, so I guess this is the guy that gets shredded in the plot summary. We also get some unnecessary slow-mo here, and I really hope this doesn't become a thing for the whole movie. And no, before anyone asks, Zack Snyder's name is nowhere near this thing. We get some decent character stuff with Crystal, the sister from the summary, and a staffer at the gator-themed restaurant. This I actually do hope to see more of, but then again, this is an R-rated killer shark movie. D.B. Sweeney enters the picture at this point, and he's got love interest written all over him. Great Value Buffy already has a partner, but he's been shown to be a shameless flirt, and to continue serving alcohol to someone who clearly needs to be, and has been told should be, cut off. So doubtless by the end of the movie he'll be dead, probably as a result of his own stupidity, so these two can get together. The sheriff, played by Demon Sheep Bad Guy, in case you forgot, shows up again, with ominous music playing over him in case we forgot he was a bad guy. Since it's been about a whole 7 minutes since we saw him quietly ignore that a rolling tank just killed 2 people and a shark that he was involved in the illegal transport of is on the loose. I guess this is to establish that he and Great Value Buffy have a history. Not sure the movie needs to make this personal to justify her probably killing him later, which I assume is what's going to happen. But yeah, he has a thing for her, and he tries to win her over by arresting her big brother and asking her out on a date with her boyfriend within eyesight, and condescendingly calling her a cupcake. Charmer. Props to Demon Sheep Bad Guy, though. He seems to have remembered he's supposed to be acting in this movie, and he does it well enough that I'm actually kind of rooting for Great Value Buffy to knee him in the groin. Okay, I'm not going to do another take on that. I just have to accept the fact that for whatever reason, my nose decides to start running every time I start recording. We fade cut to later that night, and the crooked sheriff's friend, still drunk, stumbles into the gator area of the restaurant and tries to feed alcohol to the gators. Pretty sure that counts as animal abuse right there, although I don't know if an alligator can handle alcohol or not. So I don't feel too bad when he gets eaten by the shark. This is, however, technically our first shark kill of the movie. The 2 guys from earlier were crushed under a rolling metal gas truck tank. I'm sure there's another name for that, I just didn't bother to look it up. But the point is, I'm not counting them. It's actually less bloody than most of the kills from the previous movies. And also, I think the drunk guy actually says shoot instead of shit when he knocks his liquor bottle into the water. Did the director just forget that this movie wasn't going to be on TV? Or at least not initially? And we don't even get to see the shark eating the gators. The sheriff shows up the next morning, and he and a deputy find part of his friend's arm. Well, I should say accomplice rather than friend, but... He pretends to laugh when Great Value Buffy tells him she saw a shark's fin, and that she took a shot at it, but the audience knows better. When he leaves after threatening to shut the restaurant, which we learn has been in this family for 49 years, Great Value Buffy puts together a plan to hunt the shark and bring it in as proof. She doesn't know about the smuggling, of course, so she has no reason to doubt that the sheriff won't ignore evidence that's right in front of his face. And credit where credit is due, her line, "I'd rather burn in hell than be the one that didn't bring us to 50, works. I think it would have been better coming out of an actress I had more respect for, but that's not the line's fault. The music is decent here, too. Fuck, am I actually enjoying this movie? God damn it. Of course, all this stuff is happening before we've hit the halfway point, so we know they aren't going to succeed. D.B. Sweeney pops back in at this point to show off with a spear gun and join the hunting party. No idea how he even knew about this, but okay. At least the plot is in full swing. They find the shark, but it doesn't go as planned, especially when bartender boyfriend panics and speeds up the boat, while Great Value Buffy and her brother are lining up their shots. Though considering she'd already put one bullet in this thing earlier in the movie, and that didn't even slow it down, it was doubtful they'd have managed to kill it anyway. This is one of those types of shark movies. There is only one shark, so naturally it has to be harder to kill than just about any shark would be in real life. Otherwise there's no drama. We meet back up with some of the teens, and I don't know why I keep doing the finger quotes thing. You can't see me. We meet back up with them on the boat that was actually set up earlier, and hey, yeah, set up and payoff in a cheap killer animal movie. It's actually not. Sorry, that wasn't in the script, and I just completely lost my train of thought. So anyway, two of the, again, teens go off to have sex in a two-person boat, and not for the first time, I am confused as to how this movie got an R rating. The setup for a gratuitous topless scene is there, but then we only see the woman who takes her bikini top off from the neck up. This is not normally a thing I complain about, as anyone who heard me gripe about at least some of the various nude scenes in the Season 2 movies for this show will tell you. But again, there was setup for it, and this is an R-rated movie, and if the actors didn't want to do it, which is perfectly valid by the way, body doubles are always an option. Again, this is all normally stuff I do not get hung up on, but this is a unique case. Anyway, she gets eaten, sort of off screen. We see her get pulled under the water after the boyfriend got taken out. And there is hardly even any blood at all for this, for either of them. So again, I have to ask, why the R rating? After this, we get some more character stuff. It's actually not terrible, but it's not great either. And I'm already padding out this episode's runtime by not using two of the main characters' names. Actually, I just realized I'm not using any of the main characters' names. And I'm defining main character by the three people whose names are above the title on the poster. Point is, I'm not dwelling on the character stuff. Eventually, the family and their allies, and also the bartender boyfriend, who just gets douchier and douchier as the movie goes on, get on with things the next day. There is a line that isn't entirely accurate about shark lifespans, but checking the production date again, this movie was filmed in 2010, and if I remember right, the shark that I recall hearing about that appeared to be well over 100 years old, I think they found it somewhere near Greenland, was discovered after 2012, because I am absolutely certain that I was living in California again when I heard about it. So I'm not going to ding the movie for that. Okay, you know what? I should have looked this up. I'm going to do that. I'm going to look that up now, because I swear. Okay. Greenland shark. Yeah, I'm sure this is all very riveting YouTubing for you here. Okay, how old is it? Okay, yeah, it was a Greenland shark, and scientists estimate that it lives at least 250 years. Okay, yeah, so, yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. And that one was discovered after this movie was made, so consider that a bonus cool shark fact for the episode. Wow, I don't know if I have ever gone that much off the rails on this show before. Now I lost my place in the script. I'm gonna leave this part in. Okay, here we go. And here we learn that D.B. Sweeney's character has been investigating the sheriff and his illegal animal smuggling ring. He's U.S. Fish and Wildlife, though, not FBI. And the sheriff is engaged in it again, arranging with somebody else to have some endangered birds brought up from Brazil, whose value should cover the amount lost from the escaped shark. It's also about here that Demon Sheep Bad Guy just abandons the southern accent, and honestly is for the best. No one could buy this guy as a Louisiana native. At least Streets of Blood had the good sense to just say, oh yeah, 50 Cent's character's from Chicago. By the way, in case you're thinking the death toll is remarkably small for an R-rated killer shark movie, yes it is. Though actually, the death toll in the original Jaws is probably smaller than you remember it, if it's been a while since you've seen it. But that movie was made in the 70s and for mainstream theaters. This movie has no such excuse. Our next shark victim is a cop.
Oh no. Anyway, last week...
Okay, if it makes any of you centrists out there feel better, he was peeping on a couple making out when he was supposed to be watching the water for a shark. So as far as movies like this are concerned, he had it coming. Can we agree on that at least? The CGI was laughable in this scene, but at least we got a decent amount of blood this time. There's also more almost nudity, because again, the director apparently thought he was making a movie for basic cable. I know. It's weird that I am so hung up on this. Even I'm not sure where this is coming from. I wasn't really clamoring for tits in any of the other movies this season. Or this whole series, really. Again, I think I am just disappointed that this movie is not using the R rating to its full advantage. Unfortunately, Demon Sheep Ad Guy's bad southern accent is back. Guess it was too much to hope for that was gone forever. The wildlife agent, along with Great Value Buffy's family and boyfriend, are basically hoping to leverage the info the agent got on him for animal smuggling to get him to shut down the local Gator Fest mentioned in the plot summary. It doesn't work, and it eventually leads to, most of them anyway, getting away on a sheriff's boat. A douchey college guy gets eaten next. No big loss there, except for how graphic his death isn't. Because at the risk of sounding like a broken MP3, why does this movie have an R rating? Crystal, the sister from the plot summary, is on this boat, so the race is on for her family to come save her. The nicer college guy also gets eaten. This is unfortunate for two reasons. One, he wasn't a complete tool like the other guy. And two, once again, you know where I'm going with this at this point. You could make a drinking game out of how often I say, why does this movie have an R rating in this episode? Anyway, the bartender boyfriend gets eaten. I called that. Kind of a shame it had to happen the one time in the movie he was actually being kind of helpful as opposed to a pain in the ass. He either should have died as he lived, like a douche, or gone out doing something truly selfless, not simply helping someone step from one boat onto another boat. Catharsis or pathos? We get neither with this guy's death. Oh well. At the end of this scene... okay. This is how the exchange goes. I am not even kidding. Again, R-rated movie. Great Value Buffy. I am gonna kill that mother. D.B. Sweeney's character, the wildlife agent. We can't. We don't have the equipment. R rating. How do you screw this up this badly? Yeah, it's Great Value Buffy and not Samuel L. Jackson or Betty White, but would it have killed you to just let her say motherfucker? Come on, movie. Anyway, the shark makes it to Gator Fest, but a less incompetent deputy manages to get everyone out of the water in time. And Demon Sheep Bad Guy gets eaten while trying to take a pot shot at the shark with a pistol, which honestly would have been laughable even before the audience knew that the shark basically had armor, and oh yeah, I've been forgetting to mention the whole exoskeleton thing. It probably shows up on some of the images I'm using in the episode. Anyway, so the sheriff has gotten his comeuppance, and the shark is on land mostly, chowing him down, and it still isn't as bloody as a frigging R-rated movie should be, and no, I will not let this go. Great Value Buffy's brother manages to get the shark to grab onto a propane tank covered in chum, and she takes a shot at it with a rifle. All this succeeds in doing is getting the tank to fly out of the shark's mouth, where it slams right into the back of the sheriff's animal smuggling accomplice, at which point the wildlife agent says, that was never going to work. Not gonna lie, that was funny. Obviously, this is a nod to the shooting a tank trick in Jaws, which, if I remember right, it's been a while. An episode of Mythbusters proved that wouldn't actually happen. So, you know, nice reference. Eventually, they managed to use the blades on the fan boat, and I say that only having just now realized that I didn't reference the fan boat in this portion of the episode. I put that in the random thoughts section. Whoops. Anyway, the point is they had a fan boat, and they used the blades on it to kill the shark. While chronologically this one came first, it's not quite as cool as when they did a similar thing with the wood chipper in Ozark Sharks. Although at least in this instance, no one gets a bunch of shark teeth launched into their chest, so... But yeah, the shark is dead. The animal smugglers are dead, except for the one who's probably should be dead, considering how fast a large chunk of metal hit him in the back, but whatever. Happy ending. Random thoughts I had while watching the movie. This is the third and final film featuring actress Ashton Lee on this set. You may remember her as the girl who ended up dating the nerdy guy after killing sharks off-screen in Mississippi River Sharks, or the girl who ended up dating the main character's brother after killing a shark on-screen in Ozark Sharks. Here she's the girl who sees her boyfriend gets eaten before she gets eaten herself. This movie was made before the other two she was in on this set, so I'm thinking that when she signed up for the Sci-Fi Channel movies, she had a stipulation put in her contract that she'd get to kill the sharks instead of being killed by them. The scene of Demon She Bad Guy moving out of the way of the obviously CGI gas tank rolling down the hill was unintentionally funny. It was so badly done. I mean, I get that they probably couldn't use a real tank and roll it down the hill into the real swamp, because it probably would have been like really expensive to clean it up or replace it or whatever, but still. They put commercial break fades in a movie that wasn't going to be shown on TV. Or at least not originally. What the hell? Great Value Buffy was actually halfway decent acting-wise in this movie. Pretty sure it's the first time I've been able to say something like that. I remember her stint on Early Edition. I also remember not being too put out when she left Early Edition after only one season. Apparently, when casting for the bartender boyfriend character went out, the call sheet simply read, "Wanted. Douchebag." I don't care even a little that our heroes in this movie stole a police boat. The sheriff was corrupt and his deputies were either perverts or morons. But them stealing an innocent civilian's fan boat? Not cool, man. Not cool. Even if it was part of the plan to kill the shark. Speaking of sharks, time for this episode's cool shark fact. Scientists age sharks by counting the rings on their vertebrae. Shark vertebra contains concentric pairs of opaque and translucent bands. Band pairs are counted like rings on a tree, and then scientists assign an age to the shark based on the count. Thus, if the vertebrae has 10 band pairs, it is assumed to be 10 years old. Recent studies, however, have shown that this assumption is not always correct. Researchers must therefore study each species and size class to determine how often the band pairs are deposited, because the deposition rate may change over time. Determining the actual rate the bands are deposited is called validation. Validation is also what I feel whenever someone leaves a nice comment on one of these videos. Just saying. Final verdict? I actually kinda hate that this movie isn't that bad. Admittedly, it had a low bar to climb. Just don't be overtly right-wing like two of its lead actors are. But climb it did. This is not to say it'll be high up in the rankings, though. Well, unless the next two movies manage to straight up piss me off, then it might end up near the top by default. While the acting is certainly better than I expected, well, mostly anyway, where it slumps and hard is how little advantage it took of its R rating. Not that swearing, nudity, and gore automatically make a movie good, but for a movie of this genre, it certainly helps, and they just don't go there. I'm still not 100% sure how this got an R rating in the first place. The majority of this movie's shark kills show less blood than I've seen in some episodes of The Flash. And don't even get me started on the safe for basic cable language through the whole thing, when even PG-13 movies will let you say fuck once. To use a music analogy, this movie had the elements to have at least tried for Iron Maiden, but ended up settling for Ed Sheeran. Given this movie's ratings on Letterboxd, though, I'm thinking maybe you kind of need to hate Great Value Buffy and Demon Sheep Bad Guy to enjoy this, because that means you'd be going in with about the lowest expectations imaginable, and this thing would need to be Birdemic levels of bad to not meet those. Is this a recommendation? Kinda sorta. I guess. Call it a quasi-rec. Watch this if you like shark movies in general, and if you think you can stomach looking at two MAGA chuds off and on for 90 minutes. At least neither of them wears a red hat during the movie. Well, next up, the movie whose title was the reason I bought this set in the first place, Zombie Shark. Do. Have fun. Stay safe.